Hello peeps, time to draw some other cute stuff. So today what we're gonna talk about is just gonna be a little bit about what it makes people motivated to draw and all the things related to that. Because I feel like this is actually kind of like an under discussed thing. And I know there's people that are talking about it, but I think it's such an important topic that we kind of need to talk more about it more than we already are doing. Just because there's like, it's so important to every artist that we kind of like need to have a serious discussion about it sooner or later. And I think today is the day. And why is this discussion so important? Well, I'd say that the main reason why it's so important is because every single artist is gonna come to a point where they're gonna be like, I like drawing and everything, but I'm feeling really burned out. And I'm getting to the point where like I would rather not draw anything and just kind of like stop drawing because it just feels so bad to draw at this point that I would rather not draw at all, like just completely losing your motivation to draw completely. And it just feels so bad. And it's like, if you're like drawing for a little bit, or you're like making some progress, or even if you're drawing for a while and you're having like a lot of like success with it, like online, you're gonna feel like, hey, that doesn't really feel like me. I feel like that's not something that I'm gonna have to deal with. And the only answer I have to that is just wait. I don't wanna sound like negative about it, but the reality of this topic is that every artist eventually is just gonna feel burned out. And if you're not, you're probably not drawing nearly enough as you should. So draw more shit, feel burned out, and then come back to this video. And I'm gonna tell you what to do in that case. So when you're gonna feel burned out, what do you do at that point? Well, the answer to that is pretty straightforward, but I think we're gonna have to dive deeper into it. The answer is just go back to whatever inspired you in the first place, whatever source made you feel like, okay, I just want to draw like that. That looks awesome, And if you can do stuff like that, if you can just go back to your sources, the artist, the art that made you feel like I want to do that. If you're gonna be able to do that, you're gonna be on a massive road into like getting out of being burned out. So why is that? That sounds pretty straightforward. So why make like a whole video about that? The reason is that it's not as simple as it sounds, because the main thing about inspirations and people like the art that inspires you is the fact that you're never gonna have in your life the same inspirations that you have like at the same point. The stuff that inspires me now, it's mostly the same, but it's really changed through the years. A lot of artists that I was looking up to, now they're like kind of like, like I like their art, but I'm going for something different. And it's kind of like, how are you able to find, like the source of your inspiration, like a place where you're always gonna be inspired by it? Because the harsh reality of that is that there's gonna be a point when you do art where you're just gonna feel like, oh, like all art sucks, my art sucks, but every art sucks. I just feel like nothing really inspires me as much anymore, and I really don't feel like drawing at all. I just don't see the passion in it. I don't have the fire anymore. And the solution to that is just you have to create your own inspiration. And there's like a very simple way to do that, but I've seen almost no one talking about it, so it's kind of important to discuss this kind of stuff, I would say. The main reason why people feel this burnout is because they don't have like a folder where they keep all their inspirations through the years. And it's more than that, they don't have like a folder where they date all the stuff that inspires you in a specific moment, kind of like a diary of inspirations. Um, Having like this kind of diary and inspiration has been like something that I stumbled upon through drawing. I'm just kind of like an obsessive guy, and I just like to catalog everything, especially when it comes to my passions, and art is one of my passions. And I've been kind of like creating this kind of diary of the inspirations that I had through the years. And there's like a lot of artists that in there, like Akira Toriyama, of course. But there's also like a lot of artists that people have no idea who they are, probably because they're just minor artists that I've seen like a few times on social media, and I was like really inspired by them. And the reason is that this thing, like this folder, is just kind of like my own journey, and it's not something that is for me to share with other people. I mean, I could share it, but I really don't think it's gonna have anything meaningful for other people. It's just gonna be kind of like a curiosity more than anything. And the main interesting thing about this for me is that it actually keeps kind of like a record of all the inspirations that I had through the years. And it's really interesting going back to it, especially when you're like feeling burned out, because you're kind of like seeing why some stuff inspired you at some point, but you're also like feeling like, oh, I need something more, like something different. And I try that, and it's like I like it, but it's not like my thing. And it's just like you just go through this stuff, and through the years, what happens, if you keep this up, you're gonna be able to just reach a point where your art is gonna find its own voice, let's say, and it's gonna also lose its own voice. You're gonna just be kind of like try to reach for it. You're gonna say, oh, like I like this thing from this artist, like this other thing from this other artist. Just gonna like join everything in one place. And this is like where like my topic kind of like closes onto itself, in that the moments when you try new things and they don't work out is the main moments in which your art is gonna like feel really bad, and you're just gonna feel like you're not doing anything like meaningful, like you're just gonna lose all your inspiration. And this is like, unfortunately, I would say this is a good thing, because it just means that you're trying things out and you're like trying to improve and you're trying to do your best. And sometimes it's not gonna work, and the normal reaction to that is gonna be like, oh, I suck, like I fail at this. This is not working out. People don't like it. I don't like it. And all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, it feels very demoralizing. But the thing that you have to remember is that even if you tried something, like maybe a different technique or something, and it failed, that is just like a way for you to realize what is working out for you and what is not, You're just realizing, oh, this is like not working for me. And you're gonna feel very demoralized, but at the same time, next time that you're gonna draw, you're gonna know, okay, I can go in any direction but that one, okay? And then you're gonna try something else again, and maybe it's not gonna work again. It's gonna be like, oh, actually no, that doesn't work either, And you're gonna feel even more demoralized, It's just gonna be like, oh, okay, that doesn't work either. And you're gonna do that again, it's not gonna work out. And it probably sounds grimmer than it is, because it's not that bad. I feel like if you try a little bit of experimenting, you're going to find a lot of really interesting effects and things to improve your style. But at the same time, there are going to be a lot of failures along the way, and those can be very demoralizing, especially if you put like a lot of effort and a lot of hope into them. You're just not going to be able to do that stuff, for a very long time and not feel any kind of like pressure from it, feeling kind of like, oh, I fucked that up, So the thing is, like, you just have to have the faith that you're going to be able to make it. But on top of that, you just have got to have like the inspirations that moved you to just try new things right at hand, And that doesn't mean like necessarily copying them, because I feel like if you just copy someone else's style, you're just like putting like a brake on your own creativity, You're just trying things that people already figured out, It's just like copying another character design. That's not like it may work out, but it's not like why people do art in the first place. The reason why people do art is because they want to come out with something original. They want to come out with something that, is inspiring, something that, is yours, is unique, and it's not just like an ego thing. It's just something that you do because it's just because we do art in the first place. We just want to do something that we can share with the world, and people are going to be like, oh, I like that. And I'm just going to get inspired by that, just like you're inspired by other people. So basically you just have this folder with all your inspirations, and you just go back to it, and you just start kind of building a big puzzle of it. You just say, oh, this part of it I really like, this part of it I don't really like. And this is just going to slowly evolve over time, just going to find a place in all of this when it's going to feel like, okay, I figured out that I like this kind of stuff. I don't know, I like, for example, drawing clothes that are very simple, and, you try drawing clothes that are very complex and it didn't work out because maybe it took so much time and it didn't look that good in your style in the end. So you're just okay, I'm going to draw something that is very simple with the clothing. And then you're going to be like, oh, I like very simple faces, like anime faces, or on the other side, faces that are more complex, that where you show the noses and all the other things that anime usually hides. And it's just something that you figured out over time, and it's all tidbits of things. But this is the thing, this is your own style that you're developing, This is not something that is anywhere else in the world. There are many artists that make you feel like, oh, this is really close to what I want to get. But if you ever get the feeling that this is exactly what you want to get from another artist, then it just means that you're not putting enough creativity in your own work, By the way, if you're wondering why I'm my fingers staying like this, just try reloading one of those with a syringe, and you're gonna find out, wow, it doesn't work. It's been like this, doing some test works here, splotching everywhere, fucking mess, holy shit. So yeah, but yeah, going back to the topic, you're gonna build up this little let's say style of yours. You're gonna just find out, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And it's just a bunch of little things that you build up over time. And what is gonna inspire you is just going back to the drawing table and be like, okay, let's just start again. What is that actually inspires me here? Is that, you just go back to your folder, your inspirations, and you find another little thing that you liked, that you wanna try in your style, I don't know, someone draws massive eyes, just absolutely massive. And it's okay, this is something that I want to try and see. I really like that kind of drives me really strongly. So I'm just going to draw that. And you just do that over time. And what you're going to find out is that the more you do that, the more you're going to find things that you like, things that work, and especially things that don't work. Because when you find things that don't work, you know where you should not go, with your style. And over time, this is going to just build up over a little something that is unique, I don't know, let's take this little doodle that I did right here, This is nothing too crazy. This is not something that I will say is good or anything, but I think there's something in it. I don't like, for example, how I drew the eyes. I think they're a bit too small. I would have liked to draw them bigger. But, it's just a little failure. But it doesn't mean that it's bad, necessarily. It's just something that, it's something that allows me to explore a bit what I want to know about my art, what I want to be able to do with it. And you just explore with it and you just learn from it. And, it's just things like that you're going to enjoy over time. And when you're going to do this over time, you're just going to feel okay, this is going to be my big exploration thing, I'm going to get my own style done over time. I'm going to be able to do my own thing. And once you figure out more things about your style, things are going to get a little better, because you're going to have some periods of down and you're going to be like, oh, this is not working. But then you just know that you just have to try other things in your style. You have to try new things. You have to play around with it. You have to have more fun with it. and just like explore things with it and just like enjoy what you're doing, like these are two very different styles, but it's like just like exploration thing. And the more you're gonna go on with it, the more you're gonna find out things that you like about it, and more you're gonna figure out your style, and then it's gonna like fit into itself, and you're gonna feel more inspired by it. You're gonna just like it more and more, So yeah, just like this, nothing too crazy. You just like draw a lot. You explore things that you like to draw. You explore things that you wanna like experiment with. You just like try things that you would have not tried before that inspire you. And over this time, you're just gonna find inspiration, You're gonna find like some ruts here and there. But as long as you just let yourself go back to the root of things and just explore things a bit more, you're gonna be able to find how things actually work for you, like what works for your style, what works for the things that you do. And this is just gonna be really really fun. And also like whenever you're gonna have kind of like a rut, you're just gonna know how to get out of it, just gonna know, okay, I just need to do more of this or more of that. And the more you do this, the more you're gonna learn from it, and the more those ruts are just gonna be kind of like just trips along, like a trip, not like a travel, but like a trip, like when you fall on the floor kind of thing. And you're just gonna learn from them and just improve from them. So yeah, I don't know, there's not much else to say about that. It's just like you just need to trust your instincts about this, You just need to be able to figure out the things that you like. You need to be able to figure out the things that you don't like. So like keeping a diary for that thing is probably the most important things that you should take from this video. Like if you haven't already, just go out right now, find like let's do like a little like collection of the artists that you like, make like a list of the artists that you like, make a little a list of them, make like a little folder with all their art and stuff like that, just like make sure that you have a place where like all of your inspirations are in one place, and you can go back to there whenever like you have a kind of like your little rut moment in art, and you just try to figure it out from there. And if you can do that, you're gonna just have like this fallback, kind of like this little safe place to fall into if you're like just feeling really bad with the stuff that you're making. And over time, you're just gonna get better with it. You're gonna have a feel for it, and especially you're gonna be able to figure out that if something is feeling off, something is not working out. Especially if you're feeling burned out, you just need to like go back to the roots and just do things a bit differently. This is also something that is a bit controversial, but I really don't think is that much when you think about it. But I feel like every artist needs to go back to traditional art at some point. I know that a lot of artists are gonna be like, oh, like I like just drawing digital, whatever. I used to think the same, it's definitely something that you wanna do. 90% of the art that I draw is always like digital. But the thing is like, if I like to just explore things like I'm doing right now, I feel like nothing works better than just doing traditional art. And there's like a lot of reasons for that. I feel like the physics of like traditional art just by themselves are very important to be able to figure out new things, Like, for example, like a very simple example, but this is like a just simple scalpel marker. Very simple, nothing fancy to it. But the thing that I found out about like a scalpel marker is that you can actually draw so many line variations with it that you would not be able to draw with like another point, And in the same way, there's like many things that you can do with like round points that you can do with like a scalpel marker, Like one thing that I figured out when I was drawing this one is like, oh, if I just keep my scalpel, horizontal at all times, I'm gonna be able to draw a very like design-like background. It's not gonna work well for the foreground for the character, but for the background it works really well because you can sketch out really quickly big shapes, and it's just gonna look really nice. But it's also gonna have that texture to it, and it's gonna be really quick to do, And this is something that I figured out just because I was like working with like the tools that I had, If I had like a brush, for example, I wouldn't have figured that out right now, but I would have figured out other things out, would have figured out like, for example, I don't know, oh, this is really fun to draw a brush like in big strokes, like because I can fill up big areas really quickly with like a big stroke. It's like a lot of like little things, that you can figure out like that, and you just need to experiment with it, just have fun with it, and just like, just like let yourself being like a little bit like a kid, just letting yourself do mistakes, making new things, trying out new things and having fun with it. And over time, you're gonna find out that this stuff is just a lot of fun if you let it be, nothing is not always is gonna come out really good. And sometimes that can be frustrating, especially if it's like a commission thing where you kind of have to be a bit, more proper with the stuff that you draw. You can have like a rut in that, and that's going to be really frustrating. But even in those cases, you just like say, okay, I'm going to take like a moment for myself. I'm just going to take a paper. I'm just going to start drawing in it and just like have fun with it. Like, for example, right now, I'm like, okay, what happens if I just mix like a pencil with the markers? This is something that I've never done before. And I've been thinking about this right now because I was looking at the pencil in the background that has like a nice gray that contrasts nicely with the blacks, and it's a bit darker than the background. So I'm just gonna go in and draw like with this, and see how is that gonna look. Is this gonna look good? Is this gonna look bad? I don't know now. You just figure it out, just draw and see what happens with it. And maybe it's gonna have like you're gonna have like a good time with it. And I don't know if it's gonna work out for me, but at the same time, I'm just gonna try it and see what happens. Just give it a chance, just let your like creativity flow a bit. Don't be like too rigid. Just let yourself have fun with it. And like right now, I'm thinking, oh, what if I had like some shading, with like another color, like a purple, and this is probably gonna work out that well. But yeah, it's not that. It just looks gray, but it's just like a different way to shade, but now I see, oh, I can just shade with this, instead of like with the pencil, and just like evolve from this. And I guess like the only thing that I need to be clear about is that this is fun in the moment, but then you kind of have to be a little systematic with it, so you gotta kind of like, when you're done with it, you can just be like a kid and just like put it away your toys and just find another toy. If you want to be serious with your art and just kind of improve constantly, you kind of need at least to have an idea of the things that worked out and what didn't work out, this is probably the main reason why what difference there is between like a professional artist and like an amateur. An amateur just like enjoys the process of drawing, and this is cool, this is a very normal thing. It is nothing wrong with it, but at the same time, if you want to improve, you have to figure out the things that work for you. You have to figure out the things that you are able to work with your style that work really well. But you can't, you can't just say, whatever, just gonna like start away. You kind of need to remember the things that worked out, because otherwise it's just kind of like, just like playing video games is just, wasted time, which is not like a bad thing, but at the same time, it's not something that is gonna make you improve over time. You kind of need to have a little bit of like a process into it, So I'd say like to simplify all of this and probably like bring this video to a closure because it's getting a bit long right now. But the thing is like, if you are like in a rut, if you are in a place right now with your art where you're like, oh, I don't like what I'm drawing, I don't know what to do with it. The thing that I would say you should do is just like go back to the artist that inspired you. go back to the art that made you think, I just want to learn to draw, I want to improve how to draw. This meeting is not working out at all. What the fuck? I don't know what I was trying to do here. So yeah, you just go like this and you say, oh, like what are the artists that I really enjoy? Make a list of them, make like a folder with like the art that really inspired you to start drawing. And you just like look at it, and then you just grab like a pen or some paper like this, just like a bunch of like crap here. Just like grab something at random. I don't know. You just grab, let's say, let's say like you just grab like this, you have like just a whiteout. Just start with this, and you just like go like, okay, I'm just gonna draw some crap, just gonna draw some eyes, nothing fancy, just fun, and see what happens, and maybe something cool is gonna come out. And then, if it's something that you really like, you just stop and say, okay, why this is working, And this is not like saying, oh, like how do I draw in the style of this artist? Or this is just like kind of like putting random shit on paper and then figure it out after what is working about it and what is not. Like this, like for this one, I'll say, oh, why I like this, I like the fact that it's like nice big eyes, like nice clear design. I like the fact that the white house has a nice sharp, like thick contrast with the paper, which is very different though from like the ink. It has like a very interesting effect to it. I'm spitting fucking everywhere. And it's just like, just see what things that work, and just keep a little bit of nothing from this, I just say, okay, let's just like add a background, just like go like this. And it's like, you just like explore. And then you just, if you want to, you can just keep this in a diary and say, oh, today I learned this, today I learned that. I don't do that personally. I think it's a bit like too nerdy even for me. But like, if you do that, that's not going to hurt at all. It's actually going to make you really good over a very quick period of time. And you just like, just like experiment and just have fun with it. And you'll find out that if you do this for a little bit, even just like an hour a day, for a few days, you're gonna feel very different about your art right away. You're gonna feel very recharged. And to be honest, not really like a coincidence that I'm doing this right now, especially on video. It's just like lately I've been feeling very down about my art in a lot of ways, and I've been feeling kind of like, oh, this is not working out. And just what I do when it happens, I just grab like some paper, some markers, a pencil, and I just start doodling things and just start experiment with things. And some stuff works out, some stuff works better, some stuff works less. It's just something that you have to play around with, and just have fun with it. So it's just like something that you play around with and you have fun with it. And I'd say that's about it. Just let me know what you guys think about this. I think this went a bit longer than expected. But if anyone finds this useful, I'm really glad to hear that. Just give me like a comment or something. If you didn't find it helpful, I don't know, dislike the video and just let me know in the comments. So yeah, that's about it. Have a good day.